If brake maintenance is something on your list of things to do, but you want a better performing set than a factory replacement brake system, this PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow 5-lug brake rotor and pad kit for the front will be a great choice for your 2007 to 2021 Toyota Tundra. Now this kit will offer that extra bite that your Tundra may need if you have a heavier build because of larger wheels and tires, heavier armor, added cargo, or all of the above. Now this is even going to be great for heavy cargo in the bed if you're hauling or if you're towing, and again, you need the extra insurance that your truck is going to stop on a dime. Now while this does include everything that you need when it comes to the hardware, pads, and the rotors, this is definitely going to be for somebody who wants to keep it a bit more simplistic compared to other super inclusive braking systems if you're only looking to do a little bit of maintenance to the front. Now this kit will feature a ton of benefits when it comes to braking performance, including noise-free stopping, so there's little to no annoyance, especially while you're driving around day to day, which is important. Less brake dust than stock to keep your wheels cleaner, which is a big bonus, and good ventilation in the rotors to keep the brakes working, or keep the brakes cooler when being worked, even in tough scenarios when you're doing a lot of hard stopping or doing that heavier towing. Not to mention, these will have an incredibly sporty look compared to the factory plain face rotor, which is going to up the street appeal of your build, and who doesn't want that? Now this kit's going to be strong and one that you can rely on when it comes to the construction. Now starting off with the rotors, these are going to have a premium cast iron design with drilled and slotted details to again provide that better cooling and resurfacing, keeping everything clean on the rotor when that pad is mating up with it. Now they're also going to feature a zinc plated finish to help with longevity, especially in poor weather conditions. Now the pads here will have a carbon fiber ceramic compound as well, which that is going to specifically tailor to the heavier applications, as it says in the name, Extreme Truck and Tow, while also giving you comfortable day-to-day driving characteristics, which is again important for your comfortability in your Tundra. Now the kit will also come with all stainless steel hardware for good durability and everything you need for a straightforward install. Now this kit for just the front will come in at roughly $325, which is a pretty average price point for a set of front rotors and brake pads. Now when taking a look at other options for the front brakes, this is going to include everything that you need for the front to gain that extra stopping power, while again, keeping it more to the basics if you don't need to go replacing everything on your Tundra just yet. Now I think if your Tundra isn't necessarily in need of a complete overhaul for your braking system, but you still want more than the average brake kit when it comes to the components and the performance, then this is going to be a great choice to consider. Install on this will be a 2 out of 3 wrenches on the difficulty meter and will probably take you about 2 hours to get the job done. However, that is going to wrap it up for me. At this point, we can head over to our shop and show you a detailed breakdown on how to get these onto your Tundra at home. So let's jump into it.
The tools you'll need for this project are a 1/2-inch breaker bar, a 1/2-inch and 3/8-inch ratchet, a 19mm, a 12mm socket, possibly a pair of wire cutters, a pair of needle nose pliers, a brake piston spreader, a caliper hanging tool, some brake cleaner, and a clean cloth. Hi everyone, today we're installing a set of brakes on our Tundra, but first let's watch a short video on how to uninstall the stock system first.
So the first thing we're going to do, now that I have my wheel off, I have our vehicle on the lift. If you're at home on the ground, make sure if you jack your vehicle up, you put jack stands under it so you support it properly. First thing we're going to do is remove this clip right here. I'm going to pull that out. That's going to give us access to punch both our pins out. Then we'll be able to lift up and then remove our brake pads. So now I'm going to take my cutting pliers. I'm just going to get in here just like this. Pop this clip out like that. And then get down here and do the same with the bottom one. Just pull it out. We'll take it off just like that. Once we get that out of the way, we will just be able to push our pins, pull them out. Same with the bottom one. And that'll give us access to lift our pads. And that little clip popped off, but not a big deal. We'll put that on when we put the new ones in, and we'll get our pads out and remove our pads. Next, I'm going to take my 12mm with my 3/8 gun, and I'm going to loosen this bolt up here. That'll give us access to move our brake hose. We'll get that bolt out of the way. That'll let us slide our brake hose off. That way when we get our caliper removed, we'll be able to set it down. This won't be holding it up. So now we have 2 bolts right here, this one and this one. They're 19 millimeters. I'm gonna take a 19 millimeter on a breaker bar and break these 2 loose. They are usually on pretty tight. So I'm just gonna get them loose with my breaker bar. Just like that. Then I'll switch over to my 1/2-inch drive ratchet with my 19 millimeter and bring them out the rest of the way. Same on the bottom one here. And once I get them loose enough, I'll be able to remove them by hand. And same with the bottom one. And that'll allow us to slide our caliper off. I'm gonna just let it hang just there, right like that. Last, what we're gonna do is just grab a hold of the rotor. Now sometimes you have to smack it with a hammer right here. Ours is pretty loose, it's a newer vehicle, so I'm just gonna be able to grab it, slide it right off.
And before we can install our new pads and rotors on here, we're going to need to compress the pistons inside the caliper all the way inside to allow for the added thickness of the new rotor and the new pads. To do that, you're going to rent a tool like this from your local auto parts store. And what you're going to do is slide this in between the pistons on the caliper and then use the ratcheting motion to spread the pistons back inside the caliper. Now I do recommend that you at least loosen the cap on your master cylinder just to keep from building up too much pressure, and it will also help make it easier to move the pistons. So to do that, we're just going to insert this inside the caliper between the pistons, and then we'll go ahead and spread them out. So we just insert it between the pistons like so. And you want it to be like fairly snug, and then just gently ratchet down on them, and it will spread the plates apart. And compress the pistons inside the caliper. And once it stops moving, then you can go ahead and release it. And slide the tool out. Now we go ahead and put our caliper back on and insert our new pads. Now before we put our new rotor on, we want to make sure that we clean this with some brake cleaner first. Make sure that there's no manufacturing residue or anything got on it during shipping. And to do that, we're just going to spray it down with some brake cleaner and then wipe it down with a clean cloth. Now the other thing you want to note before you put this on is make sure that you've got the correct rotor for the correct side of the vehicle. Now because these are slotted and cross-drilled, you want to make sure that it's on the right side in order for them to function properly. Best way to do that is to look at the slots on here and going from the inside to the outside, as long as the outside part of the slot is pointed towards the back of the vehicle, you know you've got the right one. You can also look on the sticker if you have one, and it'll tell you where it goes on the vehicle. One other thing to check is on the outside edge of the rotor itself, the part number and some specifications are stamped into the side. And the very first number here is going to be your part number, and the last digit is going to be either an L or an R. That'll tell you either left or right side. Left is for the driver's side, R is for the passenger side. So let's go ahead and get this cleaned up and get it installed on the truck. Now you do want to make sure that you get both sides, of course. And once you've got it clean, now we can go ahead and put it on the truck. We'll just slide it over the studs. And you can, if you want to, you go ahead and put a lug nut on one of the studs just to hold it in place, make sure it doesn't fall off. We're not going to do that on ours, but you can if you choose to. Now let's go ahead and get the caliper reinstalled. Now we'll slide this back into the original position. And using the original bolts, we'll get it secured into place. Now we'll go ahead and tighten these up using our 19mm socket. Now at this point we can go ahead and install our pads. Now before you install the pads back inside the caliper, you want to use the supplied lube to make sure that this thing works properly and there's reduced noise. To apply the lubricant, what you're going to do is just tear the edge of it back a little bit and then put a little bit of the lube on the outside edge here and on the back of the pad itself. Now it doesn't take a whole lot, it just needs a little bit. Just put it on the contact surfaces here, making sure of course not to get it on the actual pad itself. Now because we're not making this a permanent addition to our truck, we're not actually going to put the lubricant on. But like I said, just rub a little bit on the backside where it makes contact with the pistons, and then on the edges here where it slides or possibly make contact with the actual caliper itself. The other thing that you want to note is that you'll have two pads that have a wear indicator on it here and two pads that do not. The one with the wear indicator goes on the outside of the rotor. The one without the indicator goes on the inside. So let's go ahead and slide these into place. Now we'll slide our second pad into place. Now we can slide our pins in as well. And it's always a good idea to go ahead and use maybe a Scotch-Brite pad and clean these up a little bit. And it's always a good idea to put a little bit of lube on the pins themselves. That way when you slide them through the pads, they'll be lubricated and won't bind up for you. Now we'll go ahead and slide in our upper pin. Once it's lubricated, make sure that it goes through the upper holes in the pads. Now before we install the lower pin, we're also going to need to make sure that we install this spring clip as well at the same time. So you want to make sure that this centerpiece here is pointing up and to the outside, and that these little tabs, these little ears here on the sides of the spring clip go on top of the pad itself. So we'll just kind of put that into place here. Put the end of the spring clip into the hole in the pad. Do the same thing on the other side. Slide our pin through. And now we can put our last retaining clip in. That's this one here. And you want to make sure that this goes in from the back side, and then it's going to line up with the two holes, one on each pin, and slide the end of it into the pin itself. You may want to use a pair of needle nose pliers just to help get it into place. Now we go ahead and reattach our brake line bracket using the original bolt and tighten it down with our 12mm socket. Now once you've got everything back into place, you can go ahead and torque them down to factory recommended specs. Repeat the process for the other side, and then follow the manufacturer's recommendations for breaking in your new brakes. And that wraps up our review and install of the PowerStop Z36 Extreme Truck and Tow 5-lug brake rotor and pad kit for the front of your 07 to 21 Tundra. Thanks for watching, and remember, for all things Tundra, keep it right here at extremeterrain.com.